Media. What I often see is people wanting to move into this space and wanting to use social media and the internet for marketing, but not changing their habits around how they're showing up online. Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers. And my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the ReDEFINE Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 categories of content creators. Now, I identified these categories in my own examination of how I've evolved over the years in my usage of the internet and how I'm showing up on social media to build my business. Now, I want you to understand that, a couple things. The first thing is that these categories aren't necessarily separate from each other. Think of them more as a Venn diagram, circles on a Venn diagram that overlap each other and then ultimately all 3 meeting in the middle. Also, that within each category, within each circle on the Venn diagram is a spectrum, right? Like there's polar extremes on the spectrum, and you can then identify where you lie on that spectrum. This is an important topic because as you start stepping into this space, as you start leveraging the internet and social media platforms to grow your business, it's important to know where you are and how you're showing up, so that you can then make any adjustments to improve your process, to improve your system. So let's just get right into it. The first category is the status updater. If you're like me, especially for those in my generation, this is how we came into the space, right? Like we didn't grow up with the internet necessarily, we especially didn't have social media. So that's what we primarily used it for in the beginning when social media first came into the space, right? Updating the people on what we happen to be doing at any given moment, right? Watching a movie, we're out to dinner having this delicious meal. And so within this category, the spectrum is, the everyday individual updating on what they happen to be doing, right? Hashtag current situation. The other end of the extreme on the spectrum is like your really super uber famous reality celebrities, right? Reality stars like your Kardashians, right? So as you see within this category, there's level of effectiveness, and I think this particular category, the effectiveness of it. Sorry, I can't talk today. The effectiveness of it rests with the fact that I think as human beings innately have this curiosity about other people, right? Like we have this kind of voyeuristic tendency to really just be curious and to want to get a peek into other people's lives, right? I think it's part of that connectedness as a human species that we have. And of course, this has led to massive success for certain people. Again, the Kardashians are the ones that come to mind. These reality stars. So you can really leverage status updating if you make your status update content more compelling enough for people to want to continue to follow, right? Most people, however, again, it's just what they're up to, and generally the audience that you're speaking to is the audience that you're already connected with, right? People that you are probably connected with offline, and so you're just keeping in contact with your network, right? You're keeping connected to your friends and family, basically. So that's the status updater. Then we move to the next one, which is the social networker. Again, for people in my generation, this is kind of the next evolution, right? Going from status updater to where you're keeping your existing contacts, your existing connections and quote unquote friends updated on what you're doing, to then using these platforms, leveraging these platforms to grow that network, right? To grow your connections. I started really, once I, got beyond the status updater category, I knew that this would be a great way to grow my network. I mean, there's that saying in business: your network is your net worth, right? It's all about who you know. And so, with social media and the internet, I realized, well, I mean, this is the opportunity and the potential to reach thousands, if not millions of people that I didn't know before. And I certainly can't meet millions of people necessarily in person, just going out and networking belly to belly. And so this was another great way to leverage the platform, leverage the reach, to connect with more people, right? And I've done that. Relatively well over the years. There are people, in fact, that I've connected with online that I'm still connected with today. Right? Like there's some people that I've been connected with for over a decade on these spaces, and there are, in fact, some people that I consider my friends, my colleagues, who I've actually never met in person. Who that our relationship has been strictly up to now, just an online connection. Right. So you can really leverage this particular category very well if you're taking the time to make the connection, develop the rapport. That for me is how I've been able to kind of effectively leverage this particular category. Now, the other end of the extreme of the spectrum in this category are, the people that use strategies to just crunch the numbers, right? To just churn through the numbers and reach out and cold connect with as many people as possible online. I'm not as huge a fan of that because the connections aren't necessarily as effective. So it really rests on, the effectiveness of it really rests on numbers, right? There are strategies that I've seen that people teach where you reach out and cold connect with 100 people a day, and it really relies on that particular strategy. Really relies on the sheer numbers in order to get the 2-3% that actually reply back. I'm not a big fan of that particular strategy because it feels very spammy to me. However, I'm not going to say it doesn't work because obviously if people are teaching it, it's working for some people. Not a personal preference. I like to really make sure that I develop rapport, develop connections, and again, that has led to long-term relationships and friendships. Even though some of those connections and those friendships I've never met in person, right? So it's up to you how you want to leverage this particular category. Just understand that there is a spectrum, and it's whether or not you want to churn through the numbers, or if you want to develop, take the time to develop, real rapport, real connection, real relationships. And again, that's really up to you in terms of how the expedience and the type of connections you want to make. So that is the social networking, growing your network via the online space as opposed to growing it offline. Now, the last category is the influencer / content creator, what we know and conceive as real content creators, right? In this space, these are people that purposefully and intentionally are showing up online with compelling content to grow their following, to grow their audience, right? This can range from anything too, right? Whatever your content happens to be. I follow a range of different content. I follow homesteaders. I follow, micro farmers. I also follow luxury travelers. I follow hikers. You know what I mean? I follow personal development gurus and coaches, things like that, motivational accounts. It can run I follow comedians. It can run the gamut, artists, whatever content you want to post up there. As long as the purpose and intention behind it is to grow that following, is to grow your audience, so that then you can leverage that following and that audience to whatever end you want to create, right? In building your brand, building your business. The key to this particular category is purpose and intention. Right? You're moving from just a casual consumer and user of social media and the internet to purposefully leveraging these platforms, leveraging the social media to grow your business, right? And really, this is the front end of your business. It's marketing. What I often see is people wanting to move into this space and wanting to use social media and the internet for marketing, but not changing their habits around how they're showing up online. And I get it, right? Like, especially social media, it's so deeply ingrained in society and culture that our habits on these things, our habits on how we use them, how we show up, are also very, very deeply ingrained. We have to really make a shift in how we conceive and how we show up if we want to leverage on these spaces. Like, for me, it doesn't make any sense if to continue to use it. Well, okay, so let me backtrack. It doesn't make a lot of sense to use this stuff only to talk to the existing audience that you have. Yes, that can work, but why not leverage this space to grow your connection, to grow your reach, right? To grow your audience? Because, I mean, like I said at the beginning, you can literally connect with thousands, if not millions of people, if you leverage this correctly, if you are purposefully and intentionally showing up online to do exactly that. Again, to grow your audience, because the size of your audience, the size of your network really will determine the effectiveness of this front end part of your marketing. So whether or not you're going to be a status updater or, a social networker, or, pure content creator, and influencer, I really want you to be intentional and purposeful with how you're showing up. Yes, you can be, a status updater, but be intentional with those status updates. Be intentional with that particular content so that you grow your business and you're speaking to a larger audience. You're attracting a larger audience, and instead of just talking to the existing audience that you have. Yes, you can social network. You can grow your audience being intentional and purposeful as a influencer and content creator, and connect and have deeper relationships and deeper connections and grow your network that way, right? Grow your social network. So for me, not that any one of these things are different. Again, it is a Venn diagram. Identify where you are on this Venn diagram so that you can your efforts on this space and with these platforms and with these tools is more effective. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about a specific strategy that I'm implementing, and it's really working very, very nicely because I've seen other people do it and I've done it myself before in the past, where you can, again, it just really rests on being intentional and purposeful with creating a structure around your marketing and then leading that marketing into your sales funnel, right? But the first part of it is this marketing and where you fall into these categories as a content creator, right? The social networker, the status updater is the first one, the social networker, and then the intentional and purposeful content creator and influencer. Again, the type of content that you want to show up with is really, really up to you. How you show up is really up to you. As long as you're intentional and purposeful, then you can be more directed. You can be more effective with this front part of your marketing online and social media, right? Okay, so that's the message for today. Remember, we're going to continue this conversation and talk more strategy in the next episode. So if you haven't yet followed the show, go ahead and hit the plus sign at the top of whatever app you happen to be listening on. If you're watching this on the YouTube, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Tune in for more, right? So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.